again with my second stream this afternoon / evening, and now we're going back to some Magic the Gathering Arena. For those of you who missed it, we did a Slay the Spire stream a little bit ago because there's a new beta for that game, which is wonderful, by the way. And, so I'm just waiting for broadcast here, but it seems like we're live. How odd. But anyway, we did a Slay the Spire stream a little bit ago because there is a cool new beta out for that has a cool new hero that we tried out and got crushed miserably with because we were just putting every card that we found in our deck, and it was great. I wonder what the issue is with our unified chat here. It's saying that it's waiting for the broadcast. Ah, there we go. Okay, good. Just gonna make sure it works. Okay, showing up on Twitch, showing up on YouTube. All right, sweet. So we are good to go. So, as you may have noticed from the title, we are going to be looking at the Standard 2020 event today. What is the Standard 2020 event? Asked the Straw Man. The Standard 2020 event is where we put together decks that are going to be made out of cards that are only legal, or all cards that are legal after rotation, nothing that will be rotating out. So basically anything from Guilds of Ravnica onwards. Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Legions, War of the Spark, and Magic 20, Core Set 20. I don't have my... so I turned my light off at some point there. Let's get that back on and bring the brightness down because that is far in excess of what we need at the moment. There we go. Let's bring that over here so I can make sure it all looks all right. Yeah, seems fine. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit further. Cool. Gotta make sure we don't have any shiny forehead problems. Those are the worst. So I haven't built a deck for this yet, but... Oh, and before I get into that, new microphone setup, as you notice. No headset. Chris let me have his old mic that he was getting rid of when he got his new shotgun mic, which he loves. So we're trying out the new setup. I think I've got all of the noise filtered out. My wife was, or rather the friendly spirit that sometimes walks behind me, was frying some salmon a bit ago, and it didn't seem to pick anything up. So hopefully should be good. Also the vacuum was running before, and also we managed to filter that out. And I think I've gotten out all of the echo by setting up speakers and phone, microphone over here. So let me know in the comments if you're picking up feedback or anything like that. But I think I've got it worked out pretty well. Also, I might have to look at the gains a little bit. I've brought it up a little just to make sure that it's loud enough. And then in the near future, I will have some... I will have a little arm mount that I can get the mic right up over here instead of being down on the table. So anyway, let's take a look. I think we can actually go into this and hit start. Oh, actually the Lazav EDH deck that I put together has only... Oh, right, because I filtered out all of the rotating cards. So we could play a singleton deck built around Lazav that you can't even get out consistently, but I think instead of that we're going to build our own deck right now. And I think that what I want to do to start is, because you know how much I love the Grixis deck we've been running, I'm going to try out doing that deck with only post-rotation cards. So if you're making a new deck, you can click here. This is a new feature. Down here there will be a little drop-down menu where you can select what format you want the deck to be in, and then it will filter cards appropriately. It's not letting me click here because we're actually in the event right now, so this is the only choice for it. But so let's maybe, you know, throw in some Knight of the Ebon Legion, throw in some Regisar. I think we'll run the whole pack for now. Throw in, let's see, what are cards that, well, we know we're going to want. Let's go with the cards that we already have. Not Salt Falls, the other one, Steam Fence. Got our lands, and then we want some Watery Graves. Oops. Singular. And some Blood Crypts, also singular. And let's see, what other decks, or what other cards do we run in this deck? Well, we have some Cast Downs, which we can't use. We have some Legion's End, which we can. We're not going to sideboard for this because this is a best of one event, so No reason to put the sideboard in there other than as a maybe board, which I like having a maybe board every now and then. I wish that this program supported that, of cards that you were considering putting in but didn't actually have in your deck at the moment. Let's see. So, Thought Erasure, of course. The reason to run these colors effectively. And we have the Legion War Boss, which let's throw in 4 again because we're going to have fewer... a lot of our threats, our top end is rotating out. Disfigure. Too much streaming today. I just can't type anything, apparently. Okay. What other things? We have the Bedevils. So I'm just going to bring this up to kind of like the cards that we start off with, Chandra, that we have in our present deck, and then improvise around that. So this is kind of, I'm probably forgetting a few things, but this is mostly what we started out with in our current deck. So notably, we're losing 8 4-drops, that being 4 Nicol Bolas the Ravager, 2, not Arclight Phoenix, Rekindling Phoenix, and 2 Vraska's Contempt. So what do we want to replace those with? Well, we already brought in an extra Regisaur and an extra Legion War Boss, so that will help with the top end. I think I'll also bring in another Bedevil. And then the other cards that we lost were 2 cast downs. So I think what I'm going to do for that is go 1 more Disfigure, and then I'm going to try a couple of Tyrant's Scorn, because it's a cheap removal spell. It can bounce big creatures or just kill little ones. And there are a lot of decks that, like, there are very powerful 3-drops out there. This doesn't kill your, Cavalier of Thorns, obviously, which that card's going to make us weep tears of absolute despair, as it always does. But this can, it can kill your Feathers or your War Bosses or whatever. This can also hit Planeswalkers. That would have been nice, given that, Gideon is a Planeswalker and the art depicts Bolas defeating Gideon. That would have made sense. But, as it is... Oh, we should probably name this deck. So... we're going to call this Hindsight for Hindsight 2020. That seems appropriate. So what else do we want to throw in here? So I think we have 7 slots left. What does our threat density look like? Very, very low. So I think what we're going to do here, this is best of 1, where linear strategies often do a little better, and also the format is losing a lot of its primo removal spells, the cheaper removal spells, like no more Lightning Strike, no more cast down, things like that. So let's just try going threat heavier, and we'll throw back in Dreadhorde Butcher. That was not family friendly, my typo there. And then let's bring in the Lightning Elementals again. Or Stormkin. Lightning Elemental would not, I think, make the cut for this deck. So what we've effectively done here is we have brought the curve way down. Oh, and actually, speaking of bringing the curve down, I think Spawn of Mayhem might deserve a couple spots in this deck too. Worst card in this deck is probably the Stormkin. Dreadhorde Butcher is also pretty weak if we're on the... because half the time we're going to have 0 games on the play, where Dreadhorde Butcher is pretty sad. So I do want to cut 1 land here, although I should also put in our temples. Because while red and black are less frequent in this deck, red and blue are less frequent in this deck, it is nice to have the Scrylands in there. So say we have 3 of those. Yeah, I think having 7 blue-red duels is fine. And then I'm going to... I can't remember what the name of it is, actually. Bloodfell Caves or something? The land... Common... The Gain land. Let's see. Oh, I probably don't have any copies because they don't come in packs. So interestingly, the Gain lands from Core Set 20 do not come in packs in Magic Arena, because these actually replace basic lands in packs when open. So these go in a basic land slot, not a common slot, and because there's no basic land slot in Arena, they don't show up here. There we go. Bloodfell Caves. So we have basic island, 3 basic swamp, basic mountain. I don't know if I actually like basic island in here, but we do have a bunch of 2-drops that we want to play that have blue in them, so maybe that's all right. I think I'm actually probably gonna... Let's cut out... Let's bring up one of the Disfigures and one Stormkin to get down to... Oh, we still have 24 lands, though. So we want to cut out one land. We've reduced the curve so much that I think I want 23, so we'll go back up that Stormkin again. Stormkin is not a land. It's not common. There we go. Okay, so this looks alright to me. So we've got really heavy on 2-drops. We're going the more aggro route here. I've talked before about how the aggressive 2-drops and Thought Erasure plan kind of conflict with one another, but we'll see if we can navigate that decently. Having lots of cheap creatures, of course, is great for Rotting Regisaur, and then Spawn of Mayhem often being a 3-drop. So very, very aggressive curve here. Not much in the 1 slot, but Knight of the Ebon Legion. What else do you need in the 1 slot? You know, what else could you ask for? Might be right to bring a few Duresses in here because it's best of 1, but I think we'll just craft these up. We've got a decent number of common wild cards to use for it. And we'll just give it a run. Hindsight 2020. Submit. This ends up going terribly. I'll probably switch over to just a pure Rakdos, because that'll be a lot easier to do with the color fixing being so much worse. It's just much more consistent to do 2 color when we are in a shard, so 3, mostly allied colors. Ooh, this is pretty nice. 2 of which, or 2 allied pairings, 1 enemy pairing, when we have more enemy... I think that's good. When we have more enemy-colored dual lands because of Temple of Epiphany. Alright. Steam Vents. I think I like the Thought Erasure here, and try to clear the way for Warboss next turn. Jeskai Super Friends. Apparently this deck has been wrecking in this event. I think that out of all these, Shock is actually the biggest threat to us. I guess Moo is also a huge pain. I think I'll take the Moo... Ooh, Bedevil will be good for us. I think I'll take their Moo. Lightning Stormkin can come down, eat their Shock. I don't really mind that too much. Or actually, if they get greedy, they will Teferi away the Stormkin. Or actually... So, if I think they're going to Teferi away our Stormkin, that's great, because then we have multiple guys that we can bring down and kill Teferi. I think that's what I'm going to do. Although if they shock it, that's also great for us, because then Legion Warboss has 1 less shock to deal with. Looks like they're going to do that, which will be good for us. This is going to mean that we're just going to trade 1 for 1 over and over, because they'll Teferi back our Stormkin. Well, I assume that's what's going to happen here. Oh. The problem is this Deafening Clarion here is going to be a beating, so I don't want to just raw dog out our Legion Warboss here. So let's swing first. Because if they're going to shock our guy, they'll shock in response to our Thought Erasure. Alright, so now let's do this. We'll try to get rid of their board wipe, because we only have 2 creatures here. They both died to Clarion. Oh, actually, we did that 3rd Legion Warboss, didn't we? So, yep, there's the shock. And, oh yeah, they have double Clarion. Narset's a beating for us. Teferi. I think we just have to start ripping these Clarions. Another threat's really good here, but we really need a 4th land. Ugh. I think I'm keeping this, because we're going to need to... Well, I guess they don't have as many removal spells now, so I guess I'll bottom this. This may come back to bite us, but we've dealt with a fair number of... It's basically the fact that we can't get out the Knight of the Ebon Legion plus a Legion Warboss here, and we really want to... Oh man, they found another shock. Okay, so now we're getting punished for that. I guess we... Yeah. Regret our decisions deeply. Well, guess we're going to Thought Erasure him again. We can't take them off of activating Narset here. Sarkhan making a token is super bad for us, so I think we're just going to rip that. Another 3-drop. We need more 1 and 2 drops, fewer 3 drops. And actually, we need lands is what we need. That's why we got rid of the 1-drop. We're going to keep this guy, though, because so far they're only representing bounce and damage-based removal, which is not the best for them. Okay, draw a card, draw a card, draw a card. You know you want to draw a card. You don't know that we have Legion Warboss, so of course, yes. Okay, good. Oh, they have a shock in hand, though, so they can just shock our Legion Warboss and make us really sad. So they can Callous Dismissal. Yeah, we're in a really bad spot here because of our not drawing enough lands. If we'd have hit lands, we could have 2 threats out here. I think we just have to do this and hope that they don't think to shock it. Yeah, this is going to be really rough. Yep. Because another Teferi can tick up. I mean, we could have run out Regisar there, but that guy is going to get Callous Dismissaled, and then they're going to get a token, which will be able to block our Legion Warboss tokens when we get that down. And we're still going to be not able to double spell. So yeah, this is not working out well with our open on 3 lands and then draw no lands until we're going up on turn 5 or 6 here. Oh, yuck. I don't really see a way for us back into this game with not hitting any lands here, because they have board wipe for here, they have bounce for Regisar. I mean, I guess we can Thought Erasure them again. Get rid of their last board wipe. I don't like that because it's going to get chumped by these guys, and we can't cast that plus another spell. Yeah, this is just really not working out well for us. I mean, our opponent's stuck on lands too, but they've only drawn their 3-drops, many of which can deal with our 3-drops, so they're not behind at all, and they're able to keep us completely behind on tempo here.
Trust me, I have a plan.
If you would have been able to keep him off of playing Teferi plus having red, oh, well, we would have been able to keep him off of that, but if they had not been on that, we would have been in a much better spot. But as it is, so I guess we'll play this into Legion Warboss. Make a Hasty Deuter. This is Sorcerer's Stone. Oh, but they plus Teferi. Yeah, that's right. So they can just do that. Now, yeah. We are totally locked out of this game. We needed to hit land number 4 well before turn 6 or whatever that was. Or just draw... Well, even drawing 2 2-drops wouldn't have helped us there because we were... Whoa. No, I still wanna do the thing. Huh, that's weird. Oh, that's right. I think it makes you resubmit your deck every time you do this for some reason. Probably just something with the event interface. But yeah, even multiple 2-drops wouldn't have helped there, because we've seen before how this deck really wants to play multiple 2-drops on turn 4 if possible, so not being able to do that, even if we had 2-drops, was gonna really be bad for us. Alright, we get the draw again. We get turn 1 Knight of the Ebon Legion. Ooh, this is a pretty spicy hand. I'm gonna go Blood Crypt here, because that means that we can go this turn 1 and then any of these cards turn 2. Playing Swamp means that we can't go Lightning Storm King if we decide that's the play. Okay, so we are definitely going to swing and then Thought Erasure. Because we want to know, against this deck, we want to know exactly what we're up against, so that we can play around it. Okay, well, I guess we'll get rid of a Spectral Sailor. Yeah, they kept a very, very sketchy hand there. They have cycling off of the Depose Deploy, but that's a very expensive cantrip. Alright, win number 1. So if you win 2 consecutive events in this, you get 200 experience, which is really cool. I feel like I'm not even going to try to pay attention to that because that will stress me out. But I think we're on curve more or less to finish this season as long as we hit all of our daily quests at max level. On the play again. I will not complain about that. Give him ye old hello. Go untapped. Turn 2 Dreadhorde Butcher is great. Hopefully they won't have anything to put in the way of it, because Dreadhorde Butcher into a blocker is one of the worst feelings in the world. Okay, no blocker. Sweet. So, red-black. I am so excited to try Dreadhorde Butcher with the Royal Scions. Just, you know, you can play your turn 4 Dreadhorde Butcher and make it a 3-1 immediately, so you don't feel like it's just a complete pile of garbage at that point. I'm assuming that they have some kind of removal, probably a burn spell, since they shocked in Stomping Ground there. So I think we're going to... I don't actually like running out the Regisaur here, even though it probably survives whatever burn spell I imagine they have there. That makes us start discarding our cards, when we can just Dreadhorde Butcher instead, get a land down, try to evaluate what we're up against, and then... Is this a growth spiral, maybe? Oh, yeah, it's probably a growth spiral, because they're probably on gates or something, or... not Scapeshift, obviously, because there's no Scapeshift any longer, but... It's possible I should have shocked in there, just so that if they... Well, they can't have Elvish Rejuvenator here, because that's rotating. Disfigure obviously doesn't kill Arboreal Grazer if they drop one of those, so this is probably okay, although it probably would have been better to... What is up with the... Okay, there we go. Now it said just... The text there said just Blood CR for a second. Oh, Gates of Blades. Well, lots to punish. Well, I mean, it still dealt 5 damage to them. Alright, well, let's put it a Regisaur. Now that we know what they're on, we can probably assume that Disfigure isn't doing anything. Gain 3 life. They're still on a turn 2 or a 2-turn clock. So that doesn't do anything quite right now. Might actually be right to change these Disfigures back into shocks for this because we're more aggressive, and the sneaking in a couple points of burn could be pretty relevant when we need that reach after our opponent is stabilized, because we don't have the high attrition cards like Bolus and Flipping Bolus and all that stuff. Alright. So we're going to get rid of this Disfigure, hope to find a land so that we can Thought Erasure and Legion's End. Awesome. So we have the double black, and then we have, yeah, black-blue. That's a lot of guild summits. What do we... God, this is so many guild summits. I think we just take Circuitous Route to take them off ramp, and we're not fighting through all of these, obviously, so... I like the Chandra. That's another... It survives board wipes. It's another source of damage. We can play it next turn, and then we can flash back a Thought Erasure if we need to. Alright, so let's just hope they can't stabilize here. This also means that if they get another Plaza of Harmony, they go up to 9, we can still kill them with Rotting Regisaur plus Chandra. So... Gatebreaker... Oh wait, no, that's fine. Oh wait, no, it's not, because we have to discard that card. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, so the question is... Well, I guess we swing in. We play Chandra, swing in, they have to block. They go to 4.
Hey, don't start any fires without me. Say hi to my fiery friends.
Yeah. Have you noticed how nice it would be to give this guy +2/+0 first strike and trample? I think about that all the time. Okay, so we got there. We got punished by the Gates of Blaze, but as we saw, because they didn't have any creatures to block, we still... that board wipe was not enough. Even though we went 2-drop, 2-drop. Tapped land. Alright, so we got some extra experience there. That's nice. Why did we also get 500 gold? I thought it was just... experience. So I'm really expecting that this deck will not do as well as Rakdos would do for this event because of the best of one nature. Everyone is slowed down quite a bit because the card pool is so small. So just having higher consistency on our land drops, being able to get our spells played more reliably early, and just being more linear and trying to get under whatever our opponent's doing, not bothering with the thought erasure and just hitting them hard. And maybe bring in, like, 2 or 3 duress to make up for it. Oh, yuck. Oh, yuck. Had it. Never didn't have it. We had that in the bag the whole time. No question. Never didn't have it. It does seem like you get more free wins in Best of 1 by turn 2 on the play Thought Erasure your opponent scoops because they kept a bad hand. So that is an important part of the card in this format. We will keep this. It's slow because of our Bloodfell Caves come into play tapped, but we've got 2 Knight of the Ebon Legion, so even if we don't get an untapped land here, we can go tap land, Lightning Stormkin. Ooh, this lines up nicely because we get to wall their Tin Street Dodger there. Ooh, awesome. And now we can put down a Lightning Stormkin. Wait, what's this guy's ability? Okay. This is probably Cavalcade. I think I like going Stormkin and just starting to clock them. Well, I guess we could actually put in Butcher, see if they... No, I like the Stormkin more. It's a faster clock. I'm going to leave this guy back to block, because if they're going to make it unblockable, they have to spend half of their mana next turn. And after they do this, we can see if they have multiple of anything, and we can Legion's End if they do. Alright, sweet, they have 2 Tin Street Dodgers, so... this is going to kind of send them to the Shadow Realm, I think. I mean, this deck can win out of nowhere. Double Spitfire in hand and the land to play it. So we will... I think we're leaving Knight back to block. And not shocking in to play another one because... Well, actually, maybe it is okay to play Shockland... Knight. That's probably alright. Just because we know we're... Like, the faster we can squeeze out our spells, the better. And this means we can get in that extra point of damage. We're still walling their Torch Courier. And now we have 2 guys that we can pump with if we want this turn. And actually, gaining the life off of these Bloodfell Caves is not inconsequential for us. Alright, so Stormkin bounces off of Spitfire now, so I think... Oh shoot, I forgot to play Dreadhorde Butcher. Ugh. Well, it would have just died to the Spitfire anyways, I suppose. So I think our plan here is going to be just send in a Knight. We probably want to have the pump up anyways, rather than having playing Dreadhorde Butcher this turn, because this deck can just top deck a Cavalcade and bash your face in. So the fewer turns we give them to do that, I think the better off we're going to be in the long run. Just going to check everything, make sure it looks good on the stream. Yep, looks fine. So that Cavalcade seems like a very good deck here. It's getting a lot of play from what I understand, just because, you know, like I was saying, linear, aggressive strategies tend to do very well in this sort of format. These Dreadhorde Butchers are like the worst feeling things ever. Do I send in both now that they're 2/3s? I think the answer is no, because they can just... They can block one. If we pump it, we kill it, but they still have another Spitfire. I'd rather have back a second blocker, because we can't squeeze extra damage. We can't squeeze a considerable amount of damage through by attacking with both. Alright, so we'll do this again. It's out of shock range, so you don't have to worry about that here. And now the next one represents a 1-turn clock, so... If we draw another land, we can double pump, which would be great. And by leaving the Stormkin back, their odds of being able to just kill us immediately... Okay, well, that's most of the way that they have to get there. So this is 3 triggers times... So that's 9, 10, 11 unblocked damage, I think. Yeah. Well, I guess we can put this guy here. Might be wrong to do this because then that's to Lightning Strike, but if they would have Lightning Striked our face, we would have just died, so I assume that they don't have it. I don't like to play around my opponent having made a huge misplay, so yeah. We got there. We got there pretty much because we were on the play, I feel like, and we managed to get our Knight of the Ebon Legion down before they can do anything. Which again, that's sort of how best of 1 goes. Alright, so we hit level 85 there. Bunch of gold, set Mastery Orb, so maybe we'll take a look at that once we finish up. Man, I am... Oh, hey, Brady Boy. Brady Boy? Brady Boy. We are playing a deck I can show you right now, actually, since you asked. This is the wrong deck. I have to go in through here to find it easily. So we've been playing a deck that we're calling Legion's Shadow, which is inspired by Modern Death's Shadow. This is for the standard 2020 event, where you can only play cards from Guilds of Ravnica forward, so it's a pretty low-to-the-ground, aggressive Grixis build, where we have just a little bit of blue, and then a bunch of red and black, playing cheap creatures, cheap removal, a little bit of recursion and extra aggression in Chandra, and just trying to remove what they do play, so that we can get in our really, really big creatures to just seal the game. So that's what we're doing. After a few more games, we might probably keep doing this event, but we'll probably switch to just a Rakdos version of this, because it's so much easier to cast your spells consistently in 2-color in this format, because you lose all of the check lands. So you're down to just shock lands, gain lands, which are not ideal, and the red-blue temple. Which I think I've said this before, but I love the temple cycle. I think that the scry is just it's a nice thing to have to make up for the come into play tap. Like, 1 mana for a scry isn't what you want to do usually, especially if you're forced into it. But the fact that that means that every color out there can get a little bit of fixing in their deck, or of just cycling through their deck, you know, hitting the right cards, negating mana flood or mana screw, things like that. I just think that's fantastic for a format to have in it, so I'm really excited to have those in, and hopefully to get the rest of the cycle with the allied colored temples and Theros Beyond Death in a couple months. There's a lot of people I know that are worried about, well, we have enemy colored temples, why don't we have as many allied colored lands as enemy colored lands right now? So here's where we're getting punished for this, because of all the come into play tapped lands. But that's actually a really common thing in Standard. Like, I'd say that for a while it was actually more of the exception rather than the rule to have even... Oh, very good draw. To have even enemy versus ally colored lands in the format. But also it's not necessarily bad, because that means some decks are harder to run, but that means that, you know, some decks lose power, some decks gain power. That can be good or bad depending on what kind of decks. Ooh, well, Shadow Realm. But also, play this one because I don't know about it. Otherwise, it's pretty much all the same. But also, some people were saying, oh, and Throne of Eldraine doesn't have the rest of the cycle, so are we just not getting them? But it would be really weird to have the Temple cycle printed in Throne of Eldraine, because they're pretty heavily tied to... Yeah, we're done. We're not making it back from this. They're pretty heavily tied to Theros as a realm, or as a plane, and then... Oh, well, that's a pretty good one. They have board wipes, but this is our way to try to get back in. But so it would be really strange to have that in Throne of Eldraine, to have, like, you know, Temple of XYZ. This looks like a Kaya's Wrath, and then the Sword of Belhan. It's not as bad. And then on top of that, like, Theros Beyond Death is literally coming right up, so it would be weird to have printed those in the upcoming set in Throne of Eldraine, and then when they have a set where it would make sense for them to be in, coming up right after. So the Basilica Bell Haunt leads me to believe probably not a board wipe, but I mean, if we play around a board wipe, we're playing to lose slowly, because we won't be able to get back into this game if we roll out our threats slowly at this point. They've got the Bell Haunt blocking our guys. They're at 4, potentially 5 mana here, so we just need to hope that they don't have the board wipe and that we can clock them out. Remove their Bell Haunt here, get in for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Teferi is going to make us pretty sad, but it's not the worst. I assume this probably puts the Regisaur back in our hand. Yep. So we can kill Teferi here, and we can remove the Bell Haunt if we don't play the Regisaur, so that's not the worst. Okay, so we're going to play this Swamp. We can kill the Teferi whether or not we remove the Bell Haunt. So I think I actually like playing out the Regisaur, just, you know, keeping our clock as aggressive as possible. Yeah, get your life. Very cool. And then... So I don't like that block at all, by the way. But then we can put a stop here so that we can bedevil their Bell Haunt on our upkeep before this trigger, the Regisaur trigger, goes off. Or actually on our... on our upkeep. So I really don't like that block because it didn't actually do anything to protect their Teferi because it was dead either way. And what that did do is if I'd have had a Bedeck Bedazzle or something, which is still in the format, even though Lightning Strike is rotating, that would have let me kill their Bell Haunt, which otherwise... Oh, we are so dead. Yep, we are so dead. Plus or minus doesn't really matter. Plus, I mean, I guess we can bedevil the Liliana, start clocking in. We can't let her start sacrificing our guys, because if we end up with just one of them, it's going to get walled forever by the zombies. We don't have to keep up control any longer. Well, this is about the worst card you could possibly have against Basilica Bell Haunt. It's just too big, and I think we actually just Tyrant Scorn the token away here. We'll do it with style. Do the bounce half. Obviously not going in with Legion Warboss, because the amount of damage we get in with that would not be worth trading out the token-making capability when they're likely to just block there. So this is what this deck wants to do, but man, is this ever a slog trying to make it into this game. If they're actually on Hero, which they might be, because, well, probably not with Liliana, but I was thinking the lack of board wipes might mean Esper Hero. But if they're on Hero, then we're in a better spot, because we have good removal for Hero. Like, we have Disfigures, we have Tyrant Scorns. Okay, just, you know, go ahead and command the Dreadhorde on us, that's fine. Well, if they tick down Liliana, well, I guess they're going to bounce one of our creatures first, and we have to sacrifice a token and a Warboss. So, we actually got them to the point where we almost had them there. They were at 3 before that Bell Haunt trigger went off, so if we were on... I think we were on the... Were we on the draw or the play? I think we were on the draw. There's potential that if we were on the play there, we would have actually been able to fight through this. Which is basically our only plan against this deck. Sometimes we can get really lucky with, like, Thought Erasure into Chandra, -2 to Thought Erasure them again, next turn, like, duress them plus Chandra, next turn another Thought Erasure, and Thandra, another Thought Erasure, and all that, but yeah, it's almost impossible to win from that position. Alright. Our opponent has this game on lock, I believe, because we don't have any burn in this deck, we don't have the reach. We could get in for 3 points of damage here, but that would be the end of us. So we'll scoop it up. I actually feel pretty good about how well that went, considering everything. I mean, obviously they didn't have the board wipe there. If they'd had a board wipe, we would have had no chance of ever coming back into that game. I'm already getting... I started MTGA just before I started the stream, and I'm already getting the memory leak issues here, so I'll probably have to restart the stream in a minute. Maybe we'll go until our next loss, or until 1 loss, 2 wins. restart the stream, build a Rakdos version of this deck, and just see how that performs. We go first. Oh boy, that's terrible. We only have like 7 blue cards in this deck, so to get half of them and no blue sources is really bad. But also that's a completely reactive hand, which we don't do that well with. Okay, so what are we throwing back here? I don't like throwing back a knight, even though 2 knights aren't great. Like it's 2 knights is a smaller force multiplier than like 2 of most creatures, at least at this point of the game. I don't like going down to 1 threat. I think I'm tossing the... let's toss the Legion's End. It's a great card, but there's a chance that it's just dead in this matchup, and we wouldn't know because it's best of 1. So, oh, I didn't get my basic lands switched up. Have to remember to do that for the Rakdos game because running 2 colors means that you can run lots of really nice-looking basic lands. So we have a Chandra, which kind of protects us a little bit against board wipes, so I would rather play around spot removal than board wipes here, especially because they're only on 2 mana. So I'll probably just go Blood Crypt, Swing, Pump, get them up to 2/3 so that if our opponent is on Cry of the Carnarium, we'll be out of range. Okay, it looks like we're up against Esper again. Oh, that's 2 in a row. 2 in a row, double Ebon Legion into Legion's End. That is just so punishing. I like Legion's End being in this format because it's a good hedge against these really aggressive decks. Like we saw how good it was against the Cavalcade deck, we saw how good it was against us in these last 2 games. But it does sort of feel like, shouldn't there maybe be some kind of counterplay to that card? Because there really isn't. The counterplay to Legion's End is don't draw a second copy of your cards. And that's not a very reliable strategy. So, because with most board wipes, like you saw there, if we would have gotten blown out by a Cry of the Carnarium or a... I'm just going to take their Narset down to 1 here so they can't do it again. It's not enough pressure to make it worthwhile, in my opinion, to attack them. So if we'd gotten blown up by like a Kaya's Wrath or Cry of the Carnarium, that's on us, because we saw what they were playing, or could guess what they were playing, and then we didn't play around the board wipe. We made that choice. Whereas with Legion's End, it's just... we'll just kill that guy right now, because it's going to chump our tokens for ages, and we can flash this back if we need to. Yeah, so there's nothing you can do when it comes to... we actually do want to play this mountain. When it comes to playing around Legion's End. It's like, I guess the way that you play around it is you play the Royal Scions after Eldraine hits, and they let you discard one of them to draw something else if you really want to play around the Legion's End. But that's about all we got. Alright, here comes the second Narset. They're missing land drops, so there's a good chance that they can't play whatever they find here. They're not playing Elder Spell. Oh, now they are. Oh, and that gets their Narset back up to 5. It feels kind of weird that they decided to play a Planeswalker hate spell, or to print a Planeswalker hate spell and make it synergize with Planeswalkers. Like, that's kind of a head-scratcher. Like, if you were gonna... If you were trying to weaken Planeswalkers, wouldn't you want your Planeswalker hate not to make your Planeswalkers better? But, you know, sometimes Wizards works in strange ways.
Hone your prowess.
Looks like they found a command the Dreadhorde, and they're considering if they want to take it or not. Either that or they're seeing what we can flash back with our Chandra. Dreadhorde just locks us out of this game. Elite Guard Mage draws them a card. Yep. They draw a card. They gain 3 life to offset the 4 life loss. They get a Chandra, which lets them flash back their spells. We have virtually no way back into this game. We won't make them like do the math and stuff. We'll just Give him the good game and scoop it. Okay, so now I'm going to restart the client, because we're already getting bad memory leaks. It's been less than an hour, I think. Okay, so let's... And you see how differently that game plays out if we don't lose Welfare Knight of the Ebon Legion there, regardless of what we do. What does it look like when I... Is it just a black screen? Yep. If we'd had a second Knight of the Ebon Legion there, being able to go in and pump, deal a ton of damage to them, the Elite Guard Mage can't really block it because it would probably be at least a 3-4 by the time it came down, so that back-to-back blowout is just so brutal for us. Okay, so let's go back into Saturn 2020 event. Wait, shouldn't I... Oops. Start. Oh, it made me go back to the home screen before I could do that. That's weird. Okay, so... Oh, I guess that I can't clone a deck from there. Oh, yeah. Interface. You are not the best. Okay, so let's clone this. Oh, that's the wrong deck. Delete. We should be able to filter this, right? Yep. I guess it's just under other decks. Yep. Alright, so let's clone this one. Let's go in and build a Rakdos version. Alright. We never drew a Spawn of Mayhem there, which I'm sad about because I really like running that in these lower curve decks, especially when you have like Chandra to chip in with elementals and reduce the cost and things like that. Okay, so what do we want to run here? I think we're running a couple of Duresses. I think that we're taking that out for shock. I don't think that I want Drill Bit. That seems a little bit too cute, potentially. Probably want to change this up so I don't trigger myself with the sleeve choice. Yeah, let's be wild. Let's be wild and run the Simic sleeves. I think we keep it at 23 lands for this. Of course, we pull out all of our blue lands. Got a flea buzzing around me. Must smell the carrion emanating from our deck here. That is really obnoxious. Okay, so first let's see, we have a little, we have like 50% more. Oh, actually it's a mosquito. Got it. Sorry if that was a loud clap. Okay, so that brings us up to 16 lands. We run another 7. So we're going to go like 8, 7 probably. Seems good. And then let's throw in... I only have one, but let's throw in an Experimental Frenzy, because that's a cool card. Seems pretty good when you have lots of cheap things. And, oh, you know, let's put in some Rix Maadi Revelers to round that up. I have exactly 3 of them. Perfect. Oops. Why can I not type anything that I want to all of a sudden? So we're going to take a page from C-Lab here, and we're going to go from Hindsight 2020 to Hindsight 2021. And let's also change the image just so that I know which one this is, and let's put the Rix Maadi Reveler up there. That guy just looks like he's having so much fun, you know, like you know, I mean, you know, maybe we actually want, do we want a couple of Guild Gates in here? It seems like we really don't want slow lands, but we also, I don't think we want more than 4 slow lands, to be totally honest. We can probably do that all right. We could also consider putting like some 4 Chandras in here, the War of the Spark Chandra for card advantage, but I think I like it the way it is now. Frank the Tank. But is Frank a tank engine or just a regular tank? That's the question. Well, I really like this if we get an untapped source of red next turn, and even if we don't, I guess it's alright. I mean, turn 1 Duress always sounds nice. And maybe being able to Rix Maadi Reveler the turn after also sounds nice. Well, I guess we're taking the Teferi. Bant Ramp. And some Trostani action. No dice. That's going to be bad, because this deck is going to punish us greatly for a slower start. I think we're probably ditching Chandra here. I don't see her doing a whole lot. Always a turn late. I know we have a Legion. Or you have two of them and then hate your existence because they get Legions ended. Flavor Fail, though, Legion's End does not hit Legion Warboss. Although I guess it does hit Legion Warboss's Legion, so I guess that's the flavor win there. Dreadhorde Butcher does stone nothing on this board, but I like playing it because Knight of the Ebon Legion isn't going to do anything for a few turns at least. This uses our mana more efficiently, so both of these cards are doing nothing for a while. And if they're going to Deputy something, I would rather than hit the Dreadhorde Butcher, I think, than the Ebon Legion, just because with all these mana dorks, Dreadhorde isn't going to be able to do much. Oh yeah, that gives them Trostani mana. Too bad we didn't have Knight of the Legion's End there. That would have been one. Oh, well, there it is. I don't think it gets us there, especially because we're still stuck on lands here, so... I mean, this can also take out a Voracious Hydra, but the Voracious Hydra's already fought one of our things down. And now this seems horrible. But I mean, these Incubation Druids are going to become big threats on their own. Really wish we'd had that one turn earlier, man. We can't really attack profitably here, so... Was it on stream the other day when I was playing super loose? I think we probably do this, honestly. We have to take their lifelink off the table. When I so skillfully reanimated my opponent's Trostani with Nicol Bolas. That did not feel very good. I felt kind of like a chump after that. Alright, Voracious Hydra comes down, becomes a 4-5, and then a 7-8, which we can bedevil if we find a land, or I guess we can just Legion's End, and that also works. Lands would be really good. We kept a 2-lander, but we've drawn a disproportionate number of our expensive cards, and a disproportionately low number of our lands, like, you know, 0 versus 4, so... I don't think that was necessarily the wrong keep there. We're just kind of coming up on the wrong end of variance. To have 2 of 13 cards be lands. Alright, well, that's a problem. Found our land. I mean, we can... This forces out the Deputy of Detention, and then we can... Oh no! Just lost Unified Chat. Well, while I wait for this game to run its course, I will try to bring that back up here. Yeah, no tricks, opponent. No tricks. Okay, so where's our Streamlabs? Nissa, our best friend Nissa. Nissa, who ends your life. Alright, let's try to bring up the Unified Chat again. This is fine. There you go. Okay, looks like chat is back online. Yeah, there was a Deputy of Detention. If we draw land, we can, like, Bedevil and Knight of the Ebon Legion. That doesn't really help us at all. Let's kill their Trostani for justice, and then scoop them up. Felt like we lined up pretty well with their hand overall, because we kept getting those Legion's Ends for all their things, but one, they were returned too late to stop the ramp, And then 2, man, this is triggering. And then 2, just missing on all those lands felt like it would have been hard for us to win on 2 lands no matter what we drew. But for just having 2 lands, like we got some good removal. Got a couple of threats we could actually get on the board. I hate having no threats in our hand, but I mean this is. We got 3 lands, we got all of our colors, we need another red for Chandra. Well, that does not feel great. Hence the problem with Duress. Or at least main deck Duress. Alright, so let's get out that Spectral Sailor. Next turn they put out a Loyal Pegasus. So we can shock the Sailor, stops their Pegasus from attacking next turn, and they can Empyrean Eagle, which we can bedevil. Hopefully we'll have a land so we can Chandra and flash back the shock to kill another thing at that point. What's this? Oh, you know, I didn't look at the new cards, because there's new cards in this format, because the ones that they've actually programmed into the set, they are... Why didn't they... This guy... Oh, yeah, it's Flash. Okay. I think we're just going to Legion's End here, actually. Gives us a look at their hand. It gives us a shock that we can... Or we keep our shock that we can use on their Fairy Vandal. See, there's the card we wanted to rest. Or at least one of them. I guess that... I'm just going to shock this guy because that also turns off their Loyal Pegasus. And it lets us squeeze more use out of our mana here. Favorable Winds rotates, I guess, because that was Ixalan, I believe. So that is a card they do not have in this deck any longer. I think I can leave that guy on the table for a turn. I actually kind of like the idea of Chandra plus Chandra. Well, actually, yeah, because they have a Loyal Pegasus in the bin. They attack Chandra down to 3, I assume. I think it's a pretty good use of our resources, honestly. I mean, they could, if they Rally of Wings to deal with this Chandra, I mean, 1, they only take it down to 1 off of that unless they have another Lord in hand. But 2, great. And, well, I guess they can't play both that and another Lord, so... Still works out fine for us. Take her to 2. Play the Pegasus. Now we can... let's do it like this, just so I don't play myself somehow. Kill the Empyrean Eagle. Minus Chandra. Shock the Pegasus. I could also duress away the Rally of Wings, but I would rather keep their creature count low, especially because of Sephara, than get rid of a card that synergizes with lots of creatures. So I think here we're going to War Boss, because I want to play both of these cards. So hope to draw a land here on our next turn, so that we can play land Regisar, and then we can play Experimental Frenzy the next turn. Otherwise we'll have to decide which of these we want. Sure. That is a very, very aggressive block. We are not pumping that guy through, apparently. So now that they have that Depose Deploy out, this Rally of Wings is very scary. And also this Empyrean Eagle is going to make our War Boss tokens really weak. Oh, they just have the Sephara. Okay, well, that's great for them. I believe that was a misplay on their part. If I were them, I would have loved the swing in Rally of Wings, basically end our lives, and then untap everyone. And have a bunch of indestructible blockers back. Oh, I guess they wouldn't have had them back, but they'd still have Sephara. So this board state looks pretty unwinnable. Go, my minions! Can't forget the good game. Alright, if there were lines that brought me into that game, I'm not exactly sure what they were. Could be that that is a really rough matchup for us, or that we are on the wrong side of variance, or it could just be that things did not line up in our favor. I definitely felt much better if we were able to keep them off. Oh, hey, cancel. If we were able to keep them off of the second Lord there, but we didn't have... Things didn't line up in that way for us, unfortunately. Okay, so... let's see. So, these cards that we got from the previous event, we can actually run in this deck as well. Are there actually no... Yeah, I guess there aren't. Okay, so do we like any of these cards? 2/2 flying, can't block, lets us return a creature from graveyard to hand. What's Sir Conrad do? The creature put to graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, so kind of deals 1 damage to each opponent. Probably not where we want to be. Wrong colors, nope. Okay, so do we like Order of Midnight? Is that a card that we like? Do we like it more than Rixmati Reveler? Maybe, actually. I mean, let's throw it in. And let's change the image to be that guy too. An important thing about that card is that even though it's not very aggressive, it is an evasive flyer, and it's another 2-drop, which we want to have a decent number of, and it means that we can grind out some card advantage with this deck, because we can get a creature back, and then with the same card, get a 2/2 flyer. Which otherwise, Experimental Frenzy, I think, is our only source of card... Oh, also Chandra. Chandra also gets card advantage. I mean, keeping a 2-liner's never hurt us before, right? I probably won't keep this without the Duress here. Well, let's get rid of Cavalcade. But with the Duress, that gives us information, also lets us pull something out of their hand. And then let's pray for land. Actually, let's pray for, like, they draw a Scorch Spitter here so that our Shock is live. Nope. I'm not going to shock this guy because it only takes 1 damage off the board entirely. Like, it gets another 1/1 out. Although maybe they get light up the stage now and then we're super punished, but that was first strike damage. My bad. Had to pass through that. Yeah, there's the light up stage. So Psychic play was to kill it, but I don't think it was necessarily the right play. Ooh, well now we feel really good about this Legion's End. So I think we just run that out here. American Awakener, so do they have any other elementals in here, or is it just this and maybe Experiment or Frenzied Steamkin? So I don't think... It could be that it's just worth it for extra Cavalcade triggers, and it has haste, so that's not nothing. Oh, could we please find a land? Red Horde Butcher comes down, dies to shock. That's fine, that makes their Chandra Spitfire a lot worse. We still get in for a damage. Trading down on mana is actually very bad against the burn deck. Or I guess I should say trading up on mana is very good for the burn deck. Sometimes you have to do it, like in that situation, I feel like, but it's not where you want to be. Alright, so now here are all of their 1/1s. They get in for 4. We still only have 2 lands. Let's do this cool thing here. We get to put this guy back in our hand. And then probably die this turn. This guy can't block, so... we get the nice for more opponent. Okay, yep, there we go. I mean, we're only taking 8 and going to 5 here, but... only taking 8 and going to 5 is... I mean, there's no only to that against the Cavalcade deck, right? That's just taking 8 and going to 5. Well, we found our 3rd land, everyone. Good job, us. We have 23 lands in this deck. Maybe it needs a 24th, but 24 worked fine for the much higher curve version of this deck, even though, granted, that had, I guess... it had the Thought Erasures to surveil away an on-land if you need another one, but I think that 23 seems like an okay number for this deck. Maybe we're not supposed to keep those greedy openers, but this is not a greedy opener. And we have 2 Order of Midnight. Oh, I guess we can't play turn 1 Knight of the Ebon Legion, so that's unfortunate. Importantly, we wouldn't have been able to play this even if we had had the pre-rotation lands, because these would have been Dragon Skull Summons, which still would have come into play tapped. Ooh, Naya Feather from the looks of it. Alright, well, I really want to pull any cards that are going to wreck us if recurred out of their hand right now. Okay, Defiant Strike. That is a card that'll wreck us. And then let's just play our Order of Midnight. Woo, new card! It's amazing how much more powerful bears have gotten since back in the days of, like, Ice Age. Which I think that's around when I started playing. It was 94 when I started playing. I don't remember exactly what the set was then that was out. But back when it was like, Grizzly Bears, oh man, green is really cool because in green you can spend 2 mana to get a 2/2. That is premium. And now it's like, how many riders do we have to staple onto our 2/2s to make them standard playable? Do they have to be revives at the same time? Do they have to, like, gain 3 life or flicker a creature or... what's the other mode on Charming Prince? Gain 3... Oh, Scry 2. Scry 2, flicker a creature or gain 3. Like, that's what we need at this point. Ooh, they hold back to block. That actually feels really good for us. I'm really surprised by that. Because they don't have any spells that they can... Like, they have no value for these creatures right now, so we can pretty much just go on the offensive. Get in for our damage. It looks like they're chumping here. Oh, no chump. Okay. So in that case, I think that I like getting the Registrar down. Probably discarding Order of Midnight. Because, yeah, this is... We know that they have no instants or sorceries in hand, and this just invalidates their Spellbreaker entirely. I wonder what they play out here. Spellbreaker seems like it's probably the best bet, to be honest. I keep on mousing over my Knight of the Ebon Legion. Am I just missing something? Like, does Girl Spellbreaker fight something when it comes into play? No, okay, there we go. So they get the Scry off of Seasons. Scry at the bottom, love to see it. You know, we still know their entire hand. But I think that Duress is just too important versus this deck to get rid of. Then again, this represents 4 power in the air. So... yeah, I think I'm going to do this, actually. Ooh. Ooh, that's pretty good. So I think I swing with side. Or actually, do I... I think I'm okay with the double block, because that gets me in. It gets our Knight of the Ebon Legion in. We don't have to discard next turn. Order of Midnight gets in regardless. And I still trade with one of their guys. If they double block Knight, I'll be very happy about that. Because I'll be trading a 1-drop for 2 3-drops. Oh, yes. And we know they can't blow us out, because they have no... We know their entire hand. And because of the Death Touch... both of those guys die, our next knight gets the pump off of the damage that went through, and our opponent's on the back foot here. Okay, well the fact that they shocked in there... Okay, they concede. The fact that they shocked in there made Order of Midnight actually a better play than Knight of the Ebon Legion would have been, I believe, because that would have just represented lethal in the air. I guess they could have played Feather and blocked one of them, so... That is a weird card. I don't think I've seen that one before. Some nice flavor text. Alright, let's do one more. See if we can get to the 200 experience for 2 consecutive wins, which we haven't gotten in, it feels like, a hot minute now. And then maybe we'll take a little look at our standard Shadow deck and look at Rappin' after that. Dreadhorde Butcher on the draw feels terrible. This is a pretty good hand, honestly. We've got removal, we've got a bunch of different creatures. Well, this is a completely, completely sad card for us now. Hunted Witness, Slayer of Dreadhorde Butchers at a profit. And because of how targeting works, we can't... That Amara is... God, what do we even do at this point? I think we have to run out Order of Midnight, to be honest, so that we have... Well, actually, I guess Dreadhorde Butcher also trades with Amara. Okay, let's YOLO it. Go in there. If they block with Amara, sweet. Nope. Okay, now we're sad. If they block with Amara, that's probably because they have another Amara, so there are probably no winning lines there, but at least we have Bedevil this turn. We can kill the Amara. Another Hunted Witness. Boy, we could really use a Legion's End right about now. We got 3 of them in here. 3 in the top 51. Oh. That's surprising. I think I like going in here. If they let it in, we can just Spawn of Mayhem and try to clock them. If they kill our Dreadhorde Butcher, we can kill their Amara, which also feels great. If they chump, we can Bedevil their Amara, or play Regisar. So there are none of these lines that I dislike. Because we just have to start killing their Hunted Witness. There's no way... I mean, unless we could, you know, we have a 3 in 50 chance every turn of getting the card that stops us from... that, like, makes that the wrong line. But, so I think that we're going to Bedevil right now, because if they end up with a Convoke creature or something, or Protection, then we're really sad. And I don't think they have another one, because I think they would have traded with our Dreadhorde Butcher if they had. So, yeah, let's just run this out now. One of this deck's greatest weaknesses is to go wide strategies. Hopefully this is a Convoke spell, not a Protection spell they're thinking about. Okay. So if they're able to start getting their Amara tapped and just flood the board like that, that's really, really hard for us to come back from. Ebon Legion sounds good. So this guy is going to get tokens made of Hunted Witness blocks. So I think we're going to leave Butcher back. We're going to shock in, Spawn of Mayhem go. One funny thing about the version of this deck with Spawn of Mayhem is that, you know, I've talked about how I kind of see this as a Death's Shadow style deck in Standard rather than Modern. And Spawn of Mayhem actually does sort of give it another angle of that, because of the whole, sometimes I actually shock myself down to 11 so that my Spawn of Mayhem can start getting bigger. Oh, Trostani, why? Why, though? Why? Oh, God. What's happening? Oh, this is so bad. Alright, well, we get Spectacle. They have 6 lifelink power out right now. So I think we Spawn of Mayhem again. And technically we should attack first. So I think we're doing Spawn of Mayhem, Order of Midnight, because our only way of winning through this board state is pray that we find the right removal spell for Trostani or the tokens, or we are able to somehow race them in the air. We have no one here that we can get back with Order of Midnight. Alright, so we've got... I mean, we have them dead on board in the air. We've got 10, they're taking 2, going to 8. But they're gaining probably at least 6 life here. So, and we could still get there, but this is going to be really hard for us to fight through. The life link that the Trostani puts out there. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, so remember how I was just saying that go wide is hard for us to deal with? You know what else is hard for us to deal with? Like, infinite life link. That is also hard. Alright, so I'm going to block there. Block there. We're taking 10, 16, so I actually have to... Oh, this guy can't block. So in that case, we're putting you here. Yep, I think this is the play. Yep, go to 4. They go to 22. No problem. No problem, this is fine. We've got 2 Spawn of Mayhem. What are you going to do about it? Alright, we're at 2, but we have 10 power in the air now, so that's cool. Oh, we get another Order of Midnight. Can we do anything cute with getting back Dreadhorde Butcher? Not really. Let's just do this. Take him to 8. We'll get back our Dreadhorde Butcher. Then play the Order of Midnight, because that's a cool line. We love card advantage. Then we'll play Knight of the Ebon Legion. And we are dead. We'll just let him swing. I mean, we're tapped out. They can win without even attacking, because our Spawn of Mayhems will kill us. Spawn of Mayhem putting in some serious work there. Obviously, they're fielding like 12 lifelink power out of nowhere. There was not a position we can come back from, but the Spawn looking pretty good. All right, so I think that'll wrap it for the event. Let's take a look at our mastery tree here. I think we have everything except for the white side because, you know, I think this is the last side everyone does, to be totally honest. But let's get Apostle Purifying Light in there. And then let's just do a couple games with our slightly retooled Legion's Shadow deck. So this has only been changed up a little bit. I think the main deck is actually exactly the same as the last time we were here. Might have put in another Disfigure over something, question mark, not sure. But I retooled the sideboard a bit by putting in a couple Cry of the Carnarium. Because I was, and 2 Spawn of Mayhem, because Spawn went in there because we were getting basically times when our Rotting Regisaurs and Legion War bosses are bad because the board is being flooded too badly for them to get through. Spawn of Mayhem is really good because it can get over the top, and it also can clock even without our being able to connect with them in combat. Cry of the Carnarium, because while this does look really rough because these guys die and these guys die to Cry, and also if we Cry of the Carnarium and Rekindling Phoenix gets like removed after it resolves, Rekindling Phoenix gets exiled, it doesn't get the elemental token. But reason this is here is because I was finding that while we have really good spot removal, there are just some decks like Red Deck Wins, aggressive plays from Vampires, any hand that Cavalcade ever fields, basically, where it was just too hard for us to come back into a game, especially if we were on the draw, where our opponent had a fast start. So, wait, what mode am I playing? Am I in best of 3 right now? Am I in traditional? I played a bot match earlier to get my levels right. Okay, we're in traditional play. Good. Just to get my levels right for the new microphone setup. Which again, let us know in the comments how the microphone sounds, if you're getting feedback. I think I've cut it all out. But like if my levels are okay, if the game levels are okay, all that stuff. One easy thing I can always do is turn down the game sound so that if there's any feedback being picked up, that will not be an issue. I hate Steam Vents into Dragon Skull Summit with this hand. I don't think we can ship this though. This is pretty good. So we can Thought Erasure here. Oh, not the Arboreal Grazer. So Knight of the Ebon Legion turn 1 wouldn't have even done anything. This would have been a more efficient way of spending our mana. I guess we could swing and then Disfigure, but I feel like getting the peak here is probably... Oh, jeez, yuck, gross, ugh, puke, vomit. Okay, we have removal for Is this any good here? No. We have removal for the Risen Reef. We have Vraska's Contempt for the Cavalier of Thorns. Which Cavalier of Thorns is like 75% of the reason that Vraska's Contempt is even in this deck. Hey, look at that. A probably turn 4 or turn 3 Cavalier of Thorns. Alright, so that land was really good because we can now disfigure their reef, shock in Watery Grave, play Knight. Next turn we can shock in for Vraska's Contempt. Oh, let's have another reef. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think that we can... Oh man, more Grazers. This is going to take a lot of doing to get through. Alright, let's swing. I think we can pump here, because Vraska's Contempt lets us remove a resolved Cavalier of Thorns without being punished. And they don't want to play Rotting Regisar just yet. Because it's also just gonna... It's gonna reduce the number of chump blockers they have, but I think it's better just to... I mean, we can remove one now versus removing one next turn, maybe, and having to discard a card. Oh, they're still missing on green. At least I assume they're still missing on green. Alright, now watch them light up the stage and we feel like a chump. Oh. I didn't realize that our Boreal Grazer was also Persistent Petitioners, and you could just run literally infinite of them. Okay, so the question here is, do I actually like going in with Knight of the Ebon Legion? I think the answer is no. Because we can chump a damage from Risen Reef, and I like getting lots of Legion Warboss tokens out here. Especially because we have the removal still for their Cavalier. And we can't bank on them continuing to miss green. This deck runs so many lands. This is often like a 28 or something land deck. I guess it depends on what variant this is. This looks like it's probably Yarok Field because it's got the swamp there. And we haven't seen any white or red for Golos Field. But this is a situation where if they keep missing like this, Legion Warboss is great. Okay, well they found their next green, but it's tapped, so we still have another turn here. Which means we can probably, especially if we get a land, Regisar, pump, or pump Regisar, put in stop, Vraska's Contempt on our upkeep. It's kind of bottom, so that's good for us. Oh, yes, nice. So when they have no real blockers for our tokens, this Legion Warboss just gets incredible value. I'm going to threaten the double pump here, because I don't really see a good reason not to. Like, we're giving them a little information, but I mean, I assume that they're going to block either way. We kind of want them to throw something in front of Knight so they have fewer chumps for later. It's unfortunate they're going to get the Risen Reef redraw here, but getting in 3 damage. We're getting rid of another one of their guys. We're able to drop our Rotting Regisar here, and then we can Vraska's Contempt on our upkeep. Which means that any 3-drop or higher that we draw, we'll just have to discard to Regisar, but so it goes. Hopefully they don't find a field here. But they have, what, like 4? 5 hits for that? Oh, plus the Risen Reef. So 6, effectively. Oh, right. I just saw the Elvish Rejuvenator and did a double take, but no, we're not in the event any longer. I was like, I thought I just confirmed that you rotated, man. So for those of you who don't know, this is a really nice trick with Rotting Regisar. You put a stop on your upkeep. This goes on the stack, and then you can just cast an instant in response to the trigger. And then you don't have to discard. If you can't play whatever you draw, you have to discard that, so there is a downside to it for sure. But if you do something like that and you draw a land, and then you can pump, then you feel really good about yourself. We will mentor I always like to mentor the one that is a veteran, just for flavor reasons. You know, it's been around for longer. Okay. So they lose another chump blocker. Pump. Taking from 17 to 6. Grow our knight again. They could just blow this game wide open at this point. They have all this mana. They have 3 cards in hand. We are not... Yarok gives them lifelink, so that's good. I don't think that's enough. I need something... Oh, they do get 2 Risen Reef triggers, so that's pretty insane. But, yeah, I don't know if... Well, there's some more Risen Reef triggers, so they go up to 9. They block here and here and here. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they only go to 2 here if we swing with side, but they have to sack their entire side to do that. Boy, that is a lot of cards they just drew. Oh my god. They had 3 cards at the beginning of this turn, they played 3 cards, and now they have 6 cards in hand. So this doesn't represent any additional pump or anything, so we're just going to leave it in our hand. I don't think we can hold back, we just need to... Because if we hold back, they just block our 1/1 with Yarok, gain 3 life for free. This way, they either block heavily or are dead, I think. Yep. So by sending in the War Boss, we lose the War Boss, but we also make them lose both of their reefs. Because they will just die. Oh wait, no, they're dead. Okay. Oh no, they're going to get the life gain. Right. So now we'll play this, because we just have to discard it otherwise. Okay, so let's hope for no more Risen Reef shenanigans. No Field of the Dead and Circuitous Route shenanigans. They have a lot of shenanigans they could pull off to just win this game here. Well, there's the Field of the Dead. That's going to get them 2 zombies. They get Circuitous Route for 4 more zombies. I mean, we could also just rip the Devil and Killer Yarok and be in okay shape, but... Well, they also have this Blast on, which can kill a Knight of the Ebon Legion, but that costs some amount of mana, and they won't be able to spend as much to stabilize themselves. Alright, they definitely feel confident here, because... I wonder if they're just playing a second Yarok here. Going to 5, getting the Yarok untapped effectively. Oh, they have Nexus of Fate. Well, that's pretty good for them. I'll give him the hello. Looks like they left on top. Great. I always love it when our opponent leaves on top. You know what would have been really cool is if we would have had some way of giving either of these creatures trample and first strike. I feel like that would have been great for us. I don't know why I keep thinking about giving them trample and first strike, but it just keeps popping into my head for some reason. So this is 2 lands, each of which gives 2 zombies. Or more if they find a Field of Ruin. There's the Field of Ruin. So what else do we have at this point? I mean, they could just whiff for a little while and we find some flyers. We could find a Legion's End. Good lord, man! I mean, I guess when you play 2 cards and those 2 cards draw you like 9 more cards, this is what happens, but... let's just resolve all. This is a pretty disgusting deck, not gonna lie. Hey, look, another Field of the Dead. How many... So they had 10, now they have... I'm not... Okay, just up to 16. Just, you know, 18 zombies casually off of the Nexus of Fate. Arboreal Grazer. They actually were dead without all those Arboreal Grazers to chump with. So, you may scoff at the 1-drop 0/3 for when they don't have stuff in hand, but then sometimes this happens because they were able to chump for so many turns in a row. So they go to 12. Remember when they were at -1 and then the Yarok saved them? So the funny thing about that actually is that if Lifelink still had its old... We're just pumping for just giggles. if Lifelink would have had its old style, we won't belabor the point here. We actually could have been okay with Legion's End there, but so Lifelink didn't used to be called Lifelink. It just used to be an ability that said whenever this creature deals damage, you gain that much life. So if Yarok didn't have Lifelink and instead had that, we would have won there, because that would have been a triggered ability. That ability would have gone on the stack, and then that wouldn't have... By the time the trigger would have resolved, they were already dead. So, funny interaction there. That, you know, just when you change the rules, even when it seems like it's basically the same thing, they can end up actually working in very different ways sometimes, which is a cool thing about game design. So, what did we see in terms of small creatures there? Just Risen Reef. I like keeping a couple disfigures for them because they're so freaking good. Contempt and Bedevil I feel like is necessary for their Yaroks and their Cavaliers. I like bringing in the spawns, just having as many flyers as possible. I think that I like Regisar less than Warboss here, so I'm going to pull the Regisars, bring in the Spawn of Mayhem. Regisar I like less here because while it's getting chunk block, it's eating our hand, and also Legion Warboss, if they can't kill the tokens, it's getting wider and wider every turn and eventually starts overrunning them. Cast Down, more creature removal. Noxious Grasp hits virtually everything in this deck. The disfigures for the Reefs. I think this looks pretty good, so let's run it back. Actually, I'm just going to take a look at my curve here. Going up in curve is not great because it slows us down, but also they have so many chump blockers and ways of stalling us out that it seems unlikely that we'll be able to just run them over before they'd be able to field anything, even on the play. I think we need a more aggressive hand than this. Well, I think we need at least 2 threats, is the thing here. And we really want to find a thing we can play before turn 3 proactively. That's better. Opponent also mulligans. I think we're getting rid of this Bedevil. It's much more... It's a lot harder to cast than Cast Down. Bedevil hits Yarok, where Cast Down does not, but we also have Vraska's Contempt. So, I think I like getting rid of that one. And the Vraska's Contempt, just, that lets us get rid of a resolved Cavalier without them getting inordinate value out of it. Cavalier of Thorns is such a powerhouse. I feel like that's actually one of the most subtly meta-warping cards in Standard right now. Like, I feel like that's a big reason that you're not seeing that much Cavalier of Gales, even though it's a fantastic card, because Cavalier of Thorns just walls it entirely because of the reach and everything. Ooh, well, walls to 5. That's a good sign for us. And it just means that because removing it basically gives them the best card in their graveyard back, they have to spend a turn drawing it, but, it's fine. That means that it needs to be answered pretty much immediately, or with Exile, or with something like, something that helps you get around the value clause. And it just invalidates a lot of creatures. Like, you either have to outrace it, or it's like outrace, or pray that you have some kind of clean answer, which is not actually that easy to come by. We really need to find a source of blue here. We do have less blue than any other land in this deck, just because we have only 4 Bolas and 4 Bolas, 4 Thought Erasure in this deck, I believe. The fact they've had no Grazers so far is great for us. Okay, Reef, we're just going to cast down. Oh, actually, that's very good for us, because we can... Oh, wait, no, we don't have blue. Ugh! So if we cast down, we can't also pump. So I think I just go in, offer the trade, leave the cast down up. I'm pretty sure they don't block this, because, yeah, it's way too valuable. We'll enter this tapped. We're almost definitely cast downing here, but we'll see what they do first. Casting downing. Rejuvenator. Yep. And that's one of the things that makes this deck very resilient against beatdown, is actually, if you don't have evasion, it's so easy. Like, their game plan is basically field lots of 1/1s that can just chump for you forever. I mean, their game plan isn't the 1/1s, but it isn't to have 1/1s, but the 1/1s and the 0/3s and everything do advance their game plan of ramping themselves out. So, man, and now I wonder if it was actually right just to kill the Rejuvenator there and swing in, but yeah, I think I prefer this. They can fog some more damage. We really, really, really want to find blue. Come on. Come on, please, blue. They haven't hit a circuitous route yet, so they're still at least a little bit off of activating Field of the Dead, probably. And of course, we're always just a Blood Sun away from invalidating it entirely. I wonder what's up with that tap. Is this a Nissa? Damn.
Like the phases of the moon, life waxes and wanes.
Take it back, Reef. So we're probably swinging into their Tameo here, because if she starts milling them and... Yeah, I think I would... Well, we can take them to 9 if we just Vraska's Contempt and then swing in. And pump. I think that might be our best bet. Because this is going to start finding them Nexus of Fate, and then it's going to make it easier for them to find subsequent Nexuses of Fate. And if we get a land here, we have cast down mana up.
All stories must end.
Looks like they were sitting on a potential... ooh, lots of good cards. Not what we're looking for. Okay, so do we... Yeah, I think we have to pump and just hope that they don't have Cavalier, and if they do, we can cast down it and just have to eat the fact that they get so much value out of it. It's actually looking like we might get Assassin's Trophied here. But that does... Oh, we don't have any blue lands in this deck. Ugh! We don't have any islands. Yep, there it is. Yep. This does, however, still let us cast down in response to a Cavalier of Thorns, or if they go Risen Reef into another Elemental. And it's like, we only have one threat. We can't really play around Assassin's Trophy with just the one threat. Okay, there's the Thorns, so down you go. Thanks for the land. I'm seeing a lot more Assassin's Trophy, so it probably is right to put a basic island into this deck, just because of situations like this, but there are just so few cards that we need the blue for, and we need so much... Like, we're so greedy in red and black. Okay, well, here comes 2 zombie tokens. Oh, man. And we're still missing blue. We still only have 1 threat we've been able to play. They're going to be getting their Risen Reefs. I'd have actually been right to bring in Cry of the Carnarium here for when they get out like lots of dorks and stuff, but it just seems like that's pretty weak against a lot of what they're doing. I actually should have disfigured in response to the Risen Reef, because they could have drawn a Veil of Summer, and the odds that they tap down to nothing here are pretty low. Well, Legion Warboss is not very good on this board state. Yeah, I think we're losing to our deck's greed here. Which, you know, that's a thing you just have to accept when it happens. Let's get in for a damage, how about? So our opponent went to 5, we went to 6, but we're effectively at 4 here because of all the cards we haven't been able to play. So I'm actually guessing they don't have Veil of Summer, yeah, because they would have played it there. I just like to always assume they have Veil of Summer, because then when they do always have Veil of Summer, I feel a little bit less bad about it. I guess they were looking at if they could tap this and also play a Veil if they drew into it. Well, there's everyone's best friend, Arboreal Grazer. There's everyone's best friend, 2/2 zombies. Might have been right to hold that that Legion's End for if we find a Blood Sun. There's that. Oh, man, this is so brutal. It's like we have outs in here, but... just, like... our odds of being able to... Like, we could get in for a damage or two here by Legion's Ending again, but I think that our out really is find Blood Sun and then Legion's End away their existing tokens, so... we need to be able to wipe the board at that point. And of course, they're drawing an extra card every turn now because of Arch of Orazca. Another really good card in this deck that's rotating out, actually. It's subtle, because they usually only run one of them. But it puts in a ton of work. Hey, look at all those zombies. I do wonder if there was a way that we could have gotten into this if we'd ever been able to Thought Erasure them. Like, if there was any critical card they resolved. I mean, if nothing else, we could have gotten rid of the Assassin's Trophy and had our guy up. Okay, there goes our Legion War Boss. There goes the Devil. Yeah, we're not coming back into this. They've got... I mean, we can buy ourselves a turn by Legion's Ending their guys, but I don't think we're getting there. Alright, so let's try that again. And we also had lines there, too, of just draw a couple of flyers and be able to Legion's End them enough times. Arboreal Grazer does have reach, so that's not a surefire strategy, because they can... I mean, we can trample over for one with Spawn of Mayhem, because it's flying trample, but... yeah, so we did have some lines there where we could, you know, deal with their tokens and just getting into air over and over. And that's why I like having all those flyers. No red, but we have Knight, Thought Erasure. Thought Erasure helps us find red. Unless, of course, we get Thought Erasure. Which looks pretty likely. Okay, well, there's red, so... I'm just going to shock that in instead of playing the Swamp, because that way we have what if we... And end up having to pivot away from our Thought Erasure plan and have a red card we want to play next turn. That ensures that... Oh, okay, so we're on Aristocrats here. That ensures we're able to do that. It probably would have been... Now that I'm thinking about what's in this deck, it was probably right to play the Swamp first. Because we could still drown Catacombs and then Thought Erasure them. I can't play that before I play a land, obviously. I'm going to play this in case I want to play Chandra next turn. And I draw a red land. Oh! This is actually more like the Rakdos Aristocrats list that Todd Stevens has been playing lately. Let's see. We have a Knight of the Ebon Legion, a Chandra, and a Phoenix. So... You know that we can resolve one more... You know that we can resolve one more Thought Erasure unless they make us discard it. So I think we take the Bedevil here. Ooh, that is the perfect hit. God, Legion's End has just been pulling so much weight in games today, for us and against us. Because this gives us the line of... I assume they play Rixmati Reveler unless they do another thing they want to play instead. The Legions send them both away. We can get them with Knight of the Ebon Legion. Next turn, if we find red, we can get a Rekindling Phoenix down. See, here are all of our blue lands. They were just at the top of the next game. Okay. Assume they're discarding one of these lands. Since I think that Angrath is probably better than lands right now. Okay, so yeah, I think that this is the play. We Legion's End. Get in for one. Take all their power off the board. If they end up playing something... Okay, it's Dreadhorde Butcher. So, if that were a card that I would have wanted to get rid of more than I wanted to get rid of Angrath, then that would have been the wrong play. Oh, you know, I forgot about the fact that I could have blocked. I could have traded there. Ooh. Yuck. Yeah, I kind of forgot that I could have traded with Dreadhorde Butcher. I was thinking of this guy as a 2/2. Well, I guess we'll do this. That becomes a 3/3, so these guys end up trading after next turn. But yeah, we can't let this Angrath resolve. Even though they're one off of it. This also gives us a Surveil. Regisaur, that guy's going to become a 3/3, so Regisaur just dies to it, but it is... I mean, we can put it down, trade with Dreadhorde Butcher, stop it from getting out of control. So I think that's okay. So we take 3. Dreadhorde Butcher gets bigger. Oh, and they find their own Phoenix. Ooh, that's really bad for us because we can't play ours. Because we're too greedy! Yeah, they're probably going to kill us with this thing. If we had found if any of these would have had a second red source, then we're fine because these guys are bouncing off of each other and I feel like we're in a really good position on board. But I guess they're actually more mid-range than not mid-range. So they can kill either the Dreadhorde Butcher, or they can either kill the Rotting Regisaur or the Knight of the Ebon Legion. Go for the Knight of the Ebon Legion. Probably the right choice, because then we have to discard a card. Oh, or they could just play a Plague Crafter, and then we're super sad. Well, that's not going to get us there. We can technically survive with 1 here, but let's not even... Let's not play to somehow we win from that position. And they never actually drew the 5th land for Angrath, so... so there's that. Alright, so... They've got a lot of... Got a decent number of little guys here. But not enough that I think I want to bring in board wipes. Noxious Grasp is a dead card. I don't think I'm going to bring an Elder Spell just for Angrath. That's the only Planeswalker we saw there. I like the spawns because they have big flyers, and this ends up becoming a bigger, beefier flyer than their flyers are. I might like the Boluses. How many instant sorceries did we see here? Just the Bedevil, so it's probably not worth bringing in Duresses. Oh, and the Angraths, obviously. Disfigure is good against a lot of the things that they have. I think they might be too aggressive with the Dreadhorde Butchers and stuff for Chandra to really be a good card here, so let's trim her. Take her out. Yeah, I think that trading that kind of card advantage for this kind of card advantage is probably better, because it's just going to be hard for us to be able to cast a relevant spell off of her without her dying first. And then one more cut. Probably the Contempt, because it's just an expensive card. It's kind of hard to cast sometimes. And our other removal deals with most of what they have pretty well. Remember when I was 15-0 with this deck? I just couldn't lose a game? Alright, we'll take the play. Oh, man. I mean, they have a lot of creatures. They have a lot of cheap creatures, so it's very likely that we're just going to be trading resources pretty favorably here as we work our way up to land number 3. Alright, play a creature here, man. Dreadhorde Butcher. Yeah. Have fun dealing -1 damage to any target. Alright, nice. So now we can start getting with Legion Warboss tokens. We have a Cast Down or Legion's End to deal with whatever they try to stabilize with, if it's a creature. Again, we didn't see a whole lot of removal from them. It looks like they're eyeing up to this tasty Legion Warboss right here. If they have, like, Cry or something here... Okay, it's a Bedevil. So, we still get our token. They spend their whole turn doing that. Not playing the Regisar here because... actually, am I playing the Regisar here? And the fact that we can't double spell unless we draw a land is really bad. But... we only saw one removal spell from them last time, so it might actually be okay. I guess we'll see, one way or another. Worst case scenario, they make us discard a card and then they kill us during our upkeep, and we get rid of probably Vraska's Contempt, because this can all deal with whatever, pretty much. I guess we can't deal with Angrath right now, but we'll see. If they miss on lands, then we can definitely get rid of this. Okay, well, they didn't miss on lands. Love to know what they're holding right now. Oh, well, we're holding one less removal spell at the moment. Give him the old hello. Opponent seems pretty friendly. Oh, well, there goes the Contempt. So I guess now we're probably getting rid of a Legion's End. There's Wixmati. Plaguecraft was a good discard there. Oh boy, that doesn't feel good. Alright, well, let's Legion's End. Put a stop there in case you want to cast down. Alright, well, there's the Angrath. Ooh, Angrath and big old Nicol... Wait, no, big old Chandra. There we go. I was going to say, there's no blue in this deck. Are they playing Nicol Bolas? But... yeah, so if they hit land number 5 here, they take our Regisar, hit us with the Regisar. Oh, thank Christmas. Alright, well, we're discarding the Nicol Bolas here, I think, because... well, they don't have any targets for cast down. Maybe it's right for us just to try to... well, we can never cast this Bolas, though, because if we get a land, we play the land, and then we have to discard the Bolas the next turn. So, punished. Looks like this guy's going to get bedazzled, but again, when you have a Rotting Regisaur out, it's not the best idea to... just sandbag everything in their hand. So if they hit the land here, they Angrath our Rotting Regisaur away, and then we die. Well, I mean, we don't die, but they're in a good position. Otherwise, we got them. So running that Regisaur out ended up being the right play, even though we had to get rid of some primo cards. Yeah, it's just such a short clock, you know? On its own, 3 turns. Alright, now that we're on the play, or on the draw, I really don't like these Nicol Bolases, because they're probably going to come out... well, what are we bringing in, though? We could bring in the other Vraska's Contempt for dealing with their Planeswalkers and stuff. Maybe we bring in one Vraska's Contempt and leave in one Nicol Bolas. Or, actually, I think we bring in Duresses. Now that we've seen additional removal and additional Planeswalkers from them. Actually, yeah, that Chandra, I think, means we're bringing in all the Duresses. Yeah, we still want those spot removal spells, I think. Maybe we go down a Disfigure, go down to 3 there. I don't like trimming cheap removal on... yeah, I think this is good. Actually, I think we're going to leave in the Disfigure. So I'm going to trim on Legion's End, put in the Disfigure. I think Legion's End is better here, but it costs more, which is especially bad when we're on the play, or on the draw, sorry. It's that means that we're more likely to discard it to Regisar, or not to be able to play it in time and have to discard something else to Regisar, things like that. And also, since it's an instant, we can cast it while the Regisar trigger is on the stack. Do we keep this? We have 18 lands left in the top 53. I think we're actually keeping this. We have really good colors, we have payoff, we have a turn 1 removal spell. And our odds of just continuing to draw land after land are low enough that I'm willing to take the risk. Well, there's a land, so that feels bad. I'm going to enter on this tapped. Or lead on this tapped, rather. Okay, that is a great card. Right on time. Wow. Do we have to take their... I think we have to take their drill bit. We can't lose our bolus. And then just hope that we find a Vraska's Contempt or can double up... Jeez, more lands. Double up on removal for the Rekindling Phoenix. Fortunately, our only threat in hand does not get hit by Ritual of Soot. And we can play around it now that we know it's there. Yeah, stop it with the lands, please, please, please. I'm begging you. We've gone through 4 cards, and 3 of them have been lands, and we opened we opened with 5. Thank you. Okay, so the question here... Well, I mean, that's the worst time, because now we have a Nicol Bolas, and we can either play Bolas or Knight. I think we have to play Bolas. I mean, it makes them discard... We know they have 2 good cards. Hopefully they don't have something dead they can just cycle. I'm not blocking here, obviously, but we're... Oh, they discard the Chandra. What is this? Well, Chupacabra's pretty good here. It's a lot worse when you don't draw 7 lands and cycle 1 away in the first, like, 4 turns of the game, but... Okay, so this is not the worst. Spawn of Mayhem will get around their board wipe. I think I just have to play up the Knight of the Ebon Legion and let it get board wiped. We're making them trade 1 for 1 here, and way down on mana. And then Spawn will eventually get bigger than Phoenix. And we're taking 4 here. If they play Ritual of Soot, we're getting down to 16, 15, we're at 11. Might have been right to block and then disfigure, but then we end up with no threats on board. Stop with the lands. I am begging you right now, man. Stop it. Ugh. Okay, so we go into Spawn of Mayhem. We are at 6 next turn at best. I think we actually have to leave it back and then double up on removal. It doesn't feel good at all, but... Oops. Well... Because they have a chump blocker for the Knight of the Ebon Legion, so we get in for probably just 4 here. They go to 15. They can Wrath away our Knight. Yeah, I think this has to be the play. We just needed not to draw all these lands, basically. Okay. We're gonna put this down. Because if they do... This represents a pump here. So if they have spot removal... I mean, our line here is pretty much block Phoenix. Because I don't think we can go to the 6 this will put us at. Sorry we couldn't grow this guy before we had to do this, but... Because now they can Ritual of Soot. Well, actually, if the Ritual of Soot here, they kill their Elemental. So if I take that to -1, does that mean that I get to deal the damage wherever I want? Because I feel like that's what that should do, to be completely honest with you. I'm just kidding, obviously. I would sure like it if that were the case. Oh, man! All these lands! Jeez! Man, I feel like we're really coming up on the wrong side of variance with our draws here. Which, I mean, that's part of Magic, right? So we made them trade 2 for 1 there, at least. Okay, it's not a land. It doesn't do anything right now, but it's not a land. And we have gone through 2 of our big threats already, although all of our knights are big threats as well. Oh, not another Phoenix. Oh my god! Good lord! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the top 43. Or the top 17, rather. 6 non-lands. We have drawn 6 non-lands. And we surveilled a land away. Oh, good, a duress. That'll do it, I'm sure. Guess we'll get rid of that one. So our opponent's effectively drawn 5 more cards than us by not flooding out. That's gonna do it. Give him the good game. And, you know, like we've talked about before, that's part of the variance of Magic, and variance in Magic isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, variance in games... Like, there's something to be said for completely deterministic games, and there's something to be said for games that have randomness in them. Like, a game like Solitaire would be terrible if there were no randomness in it, because you would know what to do every time. A game... That's another good example. But, you know, there's lots of games. Poker would be really weird if there were no randomness in it. It's a great game because of the random element that lets you do things like bluffing and things like that. So randomness in games is fine. Can we keep no action? Sure. Sure, why not? Can't get much worse, right? Oh, action. Nice, thank you. Rewarded. Never didn't have it. It's just that one of the reasons that variance feels really bad in Magic is because in cases like that where you either draw all the lands or you draw none of the lands, and then, sorry, but you don't get to play Magic the Gathering because you just have, like, you literally have nothing that you can play, or there's nothing that can affect the board state because everything is a land. So that's the reason that it feels really bad in Magic. So are we on, like, Simic Flash with Search for Azcanta? I'm gonna put this down so that they don't know we're on blue. We have no reason to have the blue out this turn. I think I have seen some teamer lists that run Search. I just don't remember exactly what they do. So... Oh, it's gonna be Sultai, actually. Yeah, this is looking like... Yep. Sultai... Oh, right, yeah, yeah. Nexus, obviously. That would make sense. So I think no pump here, we're going to run down Phoenix. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that one. That's kind of embarrassing now that I'm saying it to myself. We're going to go no pump. Get the Phoenix down because that can go over their board. If they end up with chump blockers. So we're going to do a... Oh, nope, Chemisters. I was thinking Chemisters Insight, but it's a Growth Spiral. They are growing a lot of spirals here. They are on, like, full-on Gurren Lagann size spirals. I got rid of a temple there, which surprises me, because they missed land drops there. Well, okay, take your pick of a bunch of cards that do literally nothing right now. I'm guessing it's the Contempt? Yeah. I like to predict... Oh, hey, they revealed a... Nexus of Fate. Cool. That's a cool card. Everyone loves it so much. Although we could just, you know, kill them before any of that stuff is relevant. Because they're at 4 right now. Alright. We gotta get some Nexus stuff going off, find a board wipe. Board wipe doesn't save them because we'll get our Phoenix back. They tap down for this, they're down to 3 lands. And we have 2 lethal threats on board, plus spot removal. So this seems like a tough spot for them. Oh, they're just gonna Infinite Root Snare us, aren't they? Yeah, it's gonna feel bad. My hand is lighting up like crazy over there right now. They should wait until we pump this guy. Make us spend some mana before we know that we're not dealing any damage. Yep. So, premature on their part. But, I mean, no punish, because we haven't drawn all lands, but we have drawn a lot of lands this game again. We're on turn 6, 8 lands, and 13 cards. Oh look, they found a root snare. Whoever would have imagined they would find another root snare? Yep, so it looks like we're one turn behind. I think we were on the draw this game, but I'm not 100% on that. So probably could have gotten there pretty easily on the play, but a little bit too slow, it's looking like here. So this time, obviously, we're not pumping. Oh, right, this guy was lethal anyways, so I didn't even have to pump. But they should have still waited to see if I was going to pump. Because we were still on declare... I think we were still on declare attacker's phase when they cast that card. So now I imagine we're going to find a Tamiyo. We're going to Tamiyo, bounce back the root snare. And then plus and find a Nexus of Fate. I mean, I guess I know that we can kill their Tamiyo with the Devil, so... Oh, wait, look, a Nexus of Fate. I've heard this deck is really, like, that this is one of everyone's favorite decks. Like, everyone loves their opponent taking all the turns while just casting fogs every turn. It's a thing that like, everyone on both sides of that match is always like, yeah, you know, I just love watching my opponent take all their turns where I can't do anything because they have 2 mana spells that time lock me. And actually, like, I'm not a huge hater on this deck. The one thing about it that seems very strange to me and that I think was an enormous mistake by Wizards of the Coast is the reshuffle effect on Nexus of Fate. I was listening to... I know that I tend to repeat a lot of things that Jeff Hoagland says, and then I also tend to say a lot of things that he says later, so I think that we're following each other, and we've just become some kind of echo chamber. Don't tell him that I said that, because he would not be pleased with it. But yeah, I agree with him on this, that it's so odd that not just that Nexus, because usually with extra turn cards for the last long while in Magic the Gathering, it has been take an extra turn, and I managed to get rid of our Killer Planeswalker spell. Take an extra turn, and then exile this card. And the fact that they pivoted from exile this card to put it back into your deck is such an extraordinary pivot of how they design extra turn spells that it just feels like I honestly can't really even fathom that was what they chose to do. Alright, well, let's play a Legion War Boss. We could be overextending into a board wipe, but if they have a board wipe, we just have no way back into this game at all. Take this Tamiyo. Alright, so at this point they probably named Nexus of Fate. They have 36 cards left in their deck, of which we know that 4 are Nexuses, so they have a reasonable hit chance here.
I know.
Oh, Wilderness Wreck. I wonder if that means they probably have Nexus of Fate in hand then. So the fact that they missed Wilderness Wreck is bad for them, but they have another shot at it. Oh, I guess it's actually probably because they have Azcanta out. And they probably have 4 Wilderness Wreck, so the chance of them hitting Reclamation versus hitting Nexus is... Yep. There it is, I take another turn. How many turns have we not been able to take or have meant nothing this game? I think that's number 6. I think we have not been able to take 6 turns this game, while our opponent's been on 4 life. I also like Hoagland's idea that the my turn button down here when your opponent has an extra turn coming up shouldn't say my turn, it should just be a picture of a giant middle finger, because that's what it feels like. Because it's like, when you know that it's your opponent taking another turn, that's when, oh hey look, another Nexus of Fate. Imagine that. It's like this deck is kind of miserable once it gets going. That's one thing, but when it says, hey, you know, just click this button and get a turn, you know, oh hey look, a Nexus of Fate. Yeah, they're never going to miss a Nexus at this point. Take them to 4, miss like 9 turns in a row, they stay at 4, what can you do? This deck is definitely on the degenerate side. Although it doesn't have the advantage that the Nexus decks tend to with, you know, your game plan involves playing lots of little guys really early on so that they can chump block. So I think that Blood Sun to turn off their Search for Azcanta is actually worthwhile because that represents so many additional ways of them hitting their cards. Noxious Grasp hits Tamiyo. Cast Down feels pretty dead here, as does Legion's End. As does Disfigure. I don't really know what this deck brings in. I'm not super fluent in sideboards generally. But we can bring in just extra cards to clock them. How much do I like Chandra here? Chandra really, they can't really pressure Chandra, so this represents actually a lot of hand disruption. So I think I like leaving her in as maybe a twofer. See if we can get the boluses in. The big bolus, because that's a way of blowing up their planeswalkers. It's a way of getting us card advantage. Does this do enough? Does this... Okay, the question is, does this do enough for 5 mana? It can blow up a Tamiyo. It can draw us a card and make them exile one of their 40 billion lands. I don't actually think that we bring in Big Daddy Bolus here. Elder Spell seems too narrow. I think we just bring... Well, actually... I think I bring out the Contempts. I don't think that this usually runs like Cavaliers and stuff. It might sideboard into more creatures, but we do have... Oh shoot, I brought in Disfigure instead of Duress. Okay, do that, and then we'll bring in this last Chandra. And I don't know how much time I actually have. It says 25 seconds, but it could be -2 seconds for all that I know because of how the client-server desync works with this. So yeah, that last 10 seconds of sideboarding was not great, but I just didn't want to have to be playing game 1 again. This is such an expensive hand in 2 lands, we can't keep this. If we can get Warboss down on the curve, we're golden. Oh, jeez. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Wait, I think we get rid of a Bedevil here. I mean, it's a long time before we can play Rekindling Phoenix, but... we have a Grasp already, and I feel like we just need as many cards as we can get that clock them. And see, here again, I feel like previously we've just lost so many games to the... we draw 2 lands and no more lands, or we draw... Okay, well there we go. There's land number 3 for us. Okay, there's Knight of the Ebon Legion right on time. But I actually like this because this lets us do a relevant thing here. Get this down. Hopefully we get another land for Rekindling Phoenix. There's the Growth Spiral. So yeah, I do feel like so many of our games have just kind of been... just been non-games due to the, you know, all of our... Ooh, they brought in Tomebound Lich. That's gross, that's what we've got. Well, I guess we're gonna run our side into it. This feels really bad. So if you'd have kept that Bedevil instead of the Noxious Grasp, you'd have been in a lot better shape, but I didn't actually know that this deck played Tomebound Lich, so... I don't think we saw any last game. Search, you got it. Probably go Chandra here if we don't get the land. Okay, we got the land. Good. Might have a little bit of a game on our hands. But Search is going to start scrubbing their lands away, or scrubbing their cards away. We're at 3 now, so we still have a few turns to find a Blood Sun before this grinds us out of the game. There's Wilderness Wreck, so now they have all the mana in the world. Nothing to do with it yet, though. Alright, play a second Phoenix. Play a land. At this point, we're probably going to run down Regisaur, I'm going to guess. They like what they found. Looks like they're going to cast a Nexus. I mean, it could also be... Yep. They've found 2 Nexuses in the top 13 cards of their deck. Cycled one out, and then on turn 5, you can just start taking extra turns. I feel like I'm actually much more bitter about Wilderness Reclamation than Nexus of Fate, because Wilderness Reclamation, on top of making this deck even more miserable to play against, my lord, this is insane. Also meant that, I'm pretty sure that's a big part of why 3-mana Teferi got printed, and as I have gone on record saying before on this stream, 3-mana Teferi is one of the worst Magic cards ever designed, and should never have been printed. Not because it's too powerful, although it is very powerful, but because of the terrible things it does for the game of Magic, and how much worse it is to play Magic when that is on either side of the board, in my opinion. Your side, your opponent's side. Doesn't matter. They find a thought erasure. That's great for them. I don't like they're getting rid of the Noxious Grasp there. Oh, wait, no, they plus Tamio. Okay. That's right. They didn't minus to find that. They plus to... Well, let's see how they're going to blow us out. Is it with a Root Snare? Oh my goodness, look at that. It's a Root Snare. It's like when you let someone play a Planeswalker, find a discard spell, cast the discard spell, untap all their lands, and then play Protection afterwards. You've done terrible things to the game of Magic. Do they have another instant they can just run out here to make us really sad? Oh, yeah, Tamio makes us really sad. That's what happens. So, attacking doesn't do anything. So we'll do this. And we'll give it to him. This does feel like one of those matches that's pretty much miserable for us, because we can't clock super efficiently without like sticking a Regisaur, and even if we do that, they just have enough Root Snares and ways of finding the Root Snares and recurring them. Yeah, this game is over. We're just gonna peace out of this one. Yeah. Don't really hold a whole lot against this deck as a whole. I hate some of the individual pieces of the deck and what they've done to the meta. But, you know, if that deck is your thing, cool, play it. It's fun to take infinite turns, I know. The one EDH deck that I've put together right now doesn't take infinite turns, but it is built around Jace Vryn's Prodigy, largely so that I can flash back my extra turn spells. Although in EDH, if you start taking too many turns, as soon as you miss a turn, everyone else just kills you. So there is that limiting factor, as opposed to you miss a turn, you play a Root Snare, you Tamio back your Root Snare, you play a Root Snare, you find your extra spell, or your extra turn spell, and then you're fine. I think this is probably going to wrap it up. It's getting a little late, and this is my second stream. It's been going on for a while. That's a breeding pool, so let's hope this isn't a repeat of the last game. That was not super fun, for our side of the table at least. Or on Sultai something. Oh, Citadel type things, probably? Be my guess. Let's take a peek. So we hope they don't find lands. This is good at helping them find lands, and plus that plus Wildgrowth Walker is disgustingly good for them. So Knight of the Ebon Legion actually stacks up really well against their board at the moment, so I think I put this guy away and try to find another removal spell, or discard. Plus we've got... we're going to attack here. If they attack, that makes it easier for us to attack next turn. It's like they can get in the first hit, but I think that we are going to be the aggressors here based on the nuts that they are holding right now. Alright, so then we will do this, and we're going to get out our Legion Warboss rather than doing the pumping. Well, actually, Warboss isn't great right here, is it? Because this is going to kill the token. So I think I prefer going in... And then this is essentially just a dying tokens factory. Although, it can mentor one... Okay, no. No, I think I like this. Let's do it. So we can get in for one here. This guy has to go in, of course. Get in for the 1 damage. Next turn, this guy can attack into Wildgrowth Walker as long as they can't explore. Which looks like they will not be able to. We're also threatening Pump on Knight. Oh, that was a play on or a punt on my part, but I'm going to play the Nicol Bolas here probably anyways, so... Or Pump if they decide to double block. Never know. Alright, so now both of these guys survive the Wildgrowth Walker. And, yeah, we're going to play the Bolas here. Pumping grows this guy, but it puts us a little bit more all-in on it surviving. This gives us more power for next turn. Pretty much guaranteed pump. I mean, I guess tossing Command the Dreadhorde is pretty much free right now. Ooh, boy. Okay, so it's a good thing we have this Vraska's Contempt. This is going to gain them 6 life and get them a land and let them scrub if they want to. So yeah, this puts them squarely back into the game. Which you hate to see, but at least we do have some answers right now. So unfortunately, we can't really go in with Legion Warboss unless we want it to trade with Jadelight Ranger. I think we're just going to... Yeah, well, I think we have to do this. I might actually be right to go in with the Legion Warboss and the Knight of the Ebon... Oh, okay. Yeah, so... they were definitely on the back foot there, but I don't feel like they were out of that game entirely. But yeah, this Warboss was going to put a ton of hurt onto them along with the Nicol Bolas. Alright, so they're on Sultai... Sultai Dreadhorde, right? Not, Oh, and they just peace out entirely. Okay, well I said it was going to be the last one, but let's do one more because that was an equally unsatisfying game to the last few games. Our opponent got stuck on land multiple turns in a row. They did start to dig themselves back out by drawing a land, playing that Jadelight Ranger, drawing another land, so they were back like a turn behind the curve, maybe, but it's really hard when... And that is the thing that this deck is good at doing when it has draws like that. I mean, we can't dismiss the games where our deck does the right thing and we're able to punish our opponent for stumbling. Any more than we can dismiss, we lost because we don't have enough threats in our deck or things like that. What are the odds that we don't draw anything, right? When have we ever said that before and been punished? But so anyway, yeah, opponent stumbled, and a deck like this where you have an incredibly aggressive 1-drop, where you have 3 drops that go incredibly wide or beat very, very hard, those slow starts are kind of what this punishes. So, let's see, I think I'm going to lead on the Blood Crypt here. We have lots of sources of untapped blue and black, so we got this mountain here for if we need double red. Alright. Pay 2. Give them the hello. Play this guy. They give us the good game. I think that was a misclick. I have to be totally honest. Alright, so Blood Crypt. If they're on sweepers, that means it's most likely Cry of the Carnarium, which means that I really like playing this guy out here, because then we're good against spot removal. And next turn we can get in, hopefully be able to pump, get in for the damage, pump these guys to 2/3s, be out of Cry range. But more likely I'd say this is like an Aristocrats type deck. Yep, there we go. Spot removal. Get rid of that guy. Again, being on the play, really good in this game. Like, holy crap, guys, could we please make it not quite this good to be on the play in this game? I don't care, add a new rule. Add 2 new rules. And this is what this deck does. Yeah, so it looks like our turn 1-2 plays are really good. If our opponent was on the play, they were probably in a much better position there, because they could have turn 2, get rid of our only threat. Turn 3, we play another on our... Turn 2, we play another threat. They can probably field something in response to it. Okay, so this is probably... I mean, this could... I'm going to play as if this is Grixis Control and they were missing a color, because that's a lot more likely than they were playing like Black-Red Aristocrats or Rakdos Aggro, and they didn't draw any 1 or 2 drops and just the 1 removal spell. So in that case, while Noxious Grasp comes out, this figure is very good. I feel like this deck is pretty good against them. It might be right to bring out Regisars because of the chump blocking, bring in Spawn of Mayhem. Actually, maybe I just... Okay, so... Oh wait, we're assuming that they're Grixis Control. In which case I like Spawn. I like going up in terms of threat density there. Get rid of these. and these, because, again, I think that's our best guess, is that that's what they're doing, and I want to play towards that. And then let's... bring in a couple of Disfigures as a hedge, maybe, in case we're wrong. Bring out that Elder Spell, because it could just be a dead card. Okay, I'll try it like this. We're going in pretty blind here, but I think that we can do all right either way here. Although I guess that our removal is pretty expensive for being on the play, being on the draw. I've made that mistake like 4 times today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Must have scrambled my brain trying to learn a new character in Slay the Spire while on stream. And hey, our mulliganing decision last time paid off. This is really slow, but if we're right about what deck they are, it's pretty good because Rekindling Phoenix is hard for them to deal with. If we're wrong, we are dead, 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 because we have no removal and no plays until turn 3. Chandra's a really good draw, though. Protection against board wipes, it's recursion, it's a threat. Tormenting Voice? What is go... I just need to stop guessing what my opponent is playing on stream, because my track record is not looking so hot. Okay, so they are on Grixis. You're right about that part. I think I'm going to lead on the Legion War Boss, because, well, actually, they could have spot removal. Chandra is very good against spot removal. I probably want to get some black down at some point here, don't I? The issue here is that Chandra isn't terribly aggressive at this moment. And we don't have anything that we want to be flashing back, so building loyalty on here isn't great. So I'm going to do this. Assume they're going to have a removal spell or 2. And that we might as well play the one that if they can't remove it at instant speed, which of course they can, it'll leave a token behind and get in for a point of damage this turn. Alright, so got rid of the first removal spell. Next turn we can Phoenix. Change of plans. No, not change of plans. See, I like playing the Phoenix here, because then they have to have particular spells or double up to actually deal with it cleanly. And then next turn we have Thought Erasure and Bedevil, or Thought Erasure and Chandra. I guess it probably would have been better. Okay, well, that makes me feel good. Okay, they're just going to cast down it, and then on their turn... Okay, so they're doubling up on removal. That is fine. They spend 2 removal spells. We can Thought Erasure and Chandra. Or Thought Erasure and Raging Regisar if it stacks it better that way. Yeah, spend all of your removal spells on our guy. That's fine. We still have threats to spare. Ooh, and now we have even more threats to spare. Alright, so we're going to erase some thoughts first, see what's going on in their hand, and then decide what we're going to do. This is a Reanimator deck. Okay, that's what's going on here. Well, I don't want them to take my guys, and they don't really have anything in their graveyard yet, so let's take Rise from the Grave. I didn't really even know about this card. I guess it's good when your opponent has better threats than you do. I don't think I want this. It's going to sandbag in our hand when we're going to want to run out the Regisar. And then I think what we're actually going to do here... No, we'll just play Chandra and Plusher. Because then next turn we can Thought Erasure. If we get a land, we can Thought Erasure, Knight, and Regisar. And then put a stop in for the Devil if there's a thing we want to remove on our subsequent turn. Okay. Again, not a super competitive game, especially game 1. But, again, this is kind of how we draw it up, right? We have enough threats that hopefully we can get through all of their spot removal, or just have resilient threats, or if that's what they can discard. We have some recursion in Chandra that lets us rip their hand apart, and then hopefully we can just put the game into that later phase where we're... like, opponent has nothing... We have, hopefully, a thing out, and we can just hope that our cards are more valuable than theirs, because our cards are really high value for how cheap they are. So, yeah, anyway, got to see it work a few times there at the end. Got to see it not work at all a few times before that. And at least everyone drew a decent number of lands that game, so that is an improvement. So let's see what we got from all rewards here. Mausoleum Secrets, another one of the many unplayable Undergrowth cards. I feel bad for the Golgari keywords. Like, Dredge was just so broken, and then the next two times with, not Delve. What was the Return to Ravnica block one called? Scavenge. And then Undergrowth. It's like, there's some playable Undergrowth cards, but they're kind of few and far between. It feels like Golgari is still paying for the sins of design and development back in the day with their keywords. Although I do feel like, speaking of keywords that always felt terrible and guild mechanisms that always felt terrible, I feel like they did a great job this time with Simic, with the finally finding a way of making +1/+1 counters interesting with Adapt, and by making those do interesting things when you put them on there. Because like Growth Chamber Guardian is really cool, Incubation Druid is really cool. The 1/1 for one who loots, I guess, not so much. But I mean, it's still cool. Terramander, you know, all very different cards that do very different things while all having the same keyword. So hats off to design and development for that one. That was really cool. But I will say that I think that Jumpstart's my favorite mechanism from the Ravnica, the Guild of Ravnica block, just because I love the ability to flash cards back, and then it's just so much easier to balance them when you're still discarding a card, and it turns it from straight card advantage into card filtering, and card filtering is a great thing to have in the game. So anyway, we got a pack. Let's open it up, see what we get, and then we will call it for the day. Halfway to our next rare wild card. Oh, House Guild Mage. I actually put one of those in my Lazav commander deck in building, and I didn't have any, so save me a wild card. I was amazed I didn't have one of those yet. Ooh, Assassin's Trophy. That is a really good open. I think I only had one of those before now, so let's take a quick look. And I'm really interested in building Sultai come the next set, so... Oh, that is our first one. Okay, well, good. Quarter of the way there. Yeah, I just love the look of Oko, the blue-green Planeswalker in the next set. It's going to be really fun. Not quite as much as I love the Royal Scions, but I still think it's going to be fun. So, anyway, that's going to wrap it for the stream. Thank you so much for joining. It's always really fun doing these. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you like, let us know what we can do better. Let us know how the mic sounds, if the levels were okay, if you're getting feedback, any of that sort of stuff. We always got more content coming to you on a regular basis, so stay tuned for that, and we will see you then. Bye-bye.